Good evening, Demonfield Comics in More, New Jersey, and I am back on doing some interviews. So I hope y'all miss me because I am back in full force tonight and getting some things straightened up on this end here. My guests are going ahead and getting their shares out on their end as well. As you know, whenever you come in here, if you'll let me know, you can see and hear me. Russell, I see you over there. What's going on, buddy? If you'll go ahead and start sharing this out as well. Try to get as many people in here as possible, and we're going to have some fun with this. Appreciate everyone letting me go ahead and take the week to go ahead and recenter myself, so to speak. Ended up being a good week. I was able to catch up on quite a few things. It's amazing how much laundry piles up whenever you're not doing it for a week. I don't know. It's funny how that works. But yeah, we were able to get caught up on that and a few other things as well. Hope everyone's been taking it easy, being safe, doing everything they need to do, wash your damn hands, all that fun stuff. All the good normal, new standard, whatever you want to call it, things that we're doing, which I don't understand how it's a new normal, washing your hands, but that's just me. But waiting to see if we can get a couple more people to go ahead and jump up in here. Scott, thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. If you'll go ahead and share this out for me. We'll give this about another minute and a half, and then we'll get started on this. Again, appreciate everyone being here and jumping in on this. Unscripted ran last night. We had a blast with that, as Unscripted usually does. Sometimes it can get a little rowdy, but that's unscripted. That's why we do that on YouTube only, is why it's there, so we can be a little rowdy and unwind and let our hair down, because my hair needs to go down every once in a while. Wendy, thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here as well. If you will, make sure you are sharing this out. We'll get as many people in here as possible. And looks like I don't see him yet, but Lewis, if you're in here, thanks for being here. We're getting a good little crowd in here. All right. All right, so let me go ahead and remove the banner, and we will make this official. All right. Demonfield Comics in More, New Jersey, and I've got another interview for you this evening. We've been having some great ones leading up to this point, so why stop the tempo now? We're always on the upswing of things, so I figure we'll just go ahead and keep the tempo going with that. So that being said, let me go ahead and start off with the normal active business here. We're going to go ahead and thank our sponsors, because having sponsors is a great thing. First sponsor I got on here is Sub-Zero Mission. Everyone knows this one is huge to me because they actually save lives. So in their area, they actually go out and hand out the necessary tools that are needed to go ahead and survive the winter months in their area, which is huge. If you don't know enough about them, please reach out to me. Let me know. I will get you any information you need to go ahead and help them out in any way possible. Totally Rad Comics is the next one up. They have Totally Rad Life of Violet #3, which comes out June 16th on Kickstarter, so be watching out for that one. Third Empire is next up, and they have Mojo Rising, which is coming to Kickstarter. It should be coming out next week. There have been some issues with Kickstarter and being approved and all that kind of fun stuff. You know, the world turns upside down and it changes things for comics. I don't understand how that works, but we're trying to work our way through it. 183 Degree Studios, which, if you don't know who that is actually Kara Nicole and Alfred Trujillo, which has Confessions of a Cosplay Diva. If I'm not mistaken, there are 7 days or 6 days left in that particular project. If you haven't jumped on there, go get on that pretty quick. Codex Entertainment, which has Lily the Demoness #4, and that should be coming out in July on Kickstarter. Comic Art Groupie, which is Wendy Steen Shaner. Again, Wendy, thank you for being here. Wendy has got Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassins #4 coming out June 24th on Fairy Day. So everybody needs to be a part of that and have some fun with that. And there are some goodies that are being given out in the first 24 hours. Keep that in mind. And our final sponsor is this girl that is right up here in the corner right up here. That is Pantsless Pizza. Pantsless Pizza is our final sponsor here. If you don't know enough about Pantsless Pizza right now, then stay tuned, because there's a lot more reveals coming up with that. All right, so that being said, hey, we've got a full boat in here tonight. Thank you very much. It looks like we got Russell, Lewis, Wendy's all here. We got Larry's in here as well. Larry, thank you for being here. All right, so tonight I have actually got a couple of guys in here that have got a project that's going to be coming out here very soon. We're all kind of looking forward to it because we jumped on #1, so now we have #2. Well, that sounds really bad whenever you say it out loud. But anyway, the second one is coming out, so they're getting ready to go ahead and launch that. So let me go ahead and bring them out here now. It is going to be CB Zane and Michael Shoemaker.
Hey, Phil. Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Welcome to the show, guys. Appreciate y'all being here.
Yo,
Thanks for having us, man. Really appreciate it, Phil.
Hey, absolutely. My
we're having
pleasure.
us on the show for sure.
Now, I'm going to say this and I can't believe I say this every time, but for those of you out here who don't know who these people are, I'm going to give them a moment to go ahead and have the full screen on here and say who they are, what they do, and how to find them. So we're going to start off with you, Mike, on this one.
Okay. My name is Mike Shoemaker, and I have been doing comic books for a long period of time. Some of you would say I'm old because I've been doing comic books for as long as I have, but I have been writing them since about 1991. And I have written some of the most widely unread comic books in the world, but somebody's got to do it, doggone it. And my first job was with Malibu Graphics, which was they would get the rights to old movies and they would make comic book miniseries out of them. So I had the pleasure of doing Galaxina and then another cult movie called Bad Girls Go to Hell. And those actually have been scanned or are available in PDF format, since we are talking about how to reach ourselves, on my personal website of CobraClutch.com, like the wrestling hold, CobraClutch.com. And I've got my list of comics I also did for London Night Studios. I wrote for Razor and Strike and a character named Tommy Gunn. I even got to write with Sheena, or write for Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. And then there was a sort of a lull period there, and then I hooked up with this cat named CB Zane, who can draw better than most people breathe, and we got to formulating some ideas, and eventually that resulted in Scorpiana, which is the comic we're going to be talking about tonight. We did a successful campaign for her first issue, and so now we have issue 2 coming up, most likely on the 17th, if all goes according to plan. We'll keep everybody abreast of that, but it's coming up soon. And I can only tell you that I'm glad some people are saying they enjoyed the story, but the art kicked all kinds of ass in the first issue. And if you like that, then you just cannot, you're not going to believe what you're getting in the second issue, because everybody, CB has been completely on point. He's got these double page spreads in there that just destroy. Okay. And then our colorist has been knocking it out of the park, and we are, pretty much this close to having the thing processed. And once we lock in our letterer and get all that straightened out, and we're going to be, cooking with gas. But I'm telling you that number 2, if you like number 1, number 2 just ratchets everything up. And it's just, it's the kind of comic that I'm genuinely proud to be a part of it. I mean, I've written some other stuff before, and, it was fun, but this has been a ride. This has really been a ride. And so just can't wait to bring it to you. And that's me. So now we'll bring it on to CB. So
All right, let's bring CB up here. There we go.
Hey, guys. Well, I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm CB Zane, and I am an artist. Yeah, I've been kind of running the indie circuit, and I know a lot of people that are watching today and are part of our audience. I've had the honor and privilege of working with and or for. So I'll not only will I have the opportunity to talk about my stuff, but stuff that I'm collaborating with them coming up, because it will tie together. So I'm very excited. And Michael and I, I appreciate all your comments, Mike. It's very, very appreciated. I draw mostly because I just love it. When I started collecting comics in 5th grade and realized that the story went from month to month to month, that became my passion. And I had a good friend growing up, and, when we had sleepovers, we would stay up all night drawing comics. So it's always been something that I've enjoyed, and now I get to do it on a semi-professional level. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful to have some incredibly talented people to work with, Mike Shoemaker being one for sure. Mike and I have been in touch for, I don't know, maybe close to 20 years, and we finally nailed down a title, a character that, the timing finally worked out, and here we are. talking about Scorpiana. So, and we'll talk a lot more about that collaborative effort as things go on. So, I've done work for BDI, Big Dog Inc., Codex Entertainment, my book with Keith Thomas, which is behind me, Into the Suck, Scorpiana, a spinoff from Scorpiana, which will be coming in September, which will be called Might, which will be part of something called ClickCon, which I'll elaborate on a little bit more, along with Tom Hutchinson and Wendy Steen Shaner. So a lot of exciting things. Despite what's been going on in the last few months, these last 2 months have been some of the busiest of my professional artist career, and that's a good thing. So,
well, very cool. And of course, you've been incredibly busy because you just came off of Into the Suck, was on Kickstarter and had a great, successful one on that end. So you're just keeping the momentum going, which is great because I don't know about you, but the demon and idle hands don't go very well together.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to be busy. And it's actually gotten to the point in my career, like I've had people contact me. I've had to tell them, like, I'm not available for a few months right now. And I guess that's a good thing. And, I hope that doesn't come across as being like braggadocious or arrogant or anything. It's not. It's just the way things kind of like filtered and panned out lately. And I'm glad for it. It's been a good thing.
Very cool. So I'm just going to go ahead. I've got some questions on here and everything. And of course, if you're in the audience and you have questions that you want to go ahead and bring up, go ahead and start bringing those up over there. And I'll bring them out as I see them as they come up within the discussions here. The first thing I want to ask is with Scorpiana 2 and Scorpiana Legacy. We'll go ahead and put it that way, but since we've already had number 1 on there, how did you begin with that story? What brought that story into your mind?
I got to say that, and Corey, CB might have been about to bring this up, but basically, she was actually born out of a separate project that we almost worked on, and if basically she was going to be part of a team. And this was a different book. It was going to be more like, Ron Z's project, Project Valkyrie, with the various giant girls. It was going to be like that. They were going to be battling Godzilla type creatures and stuff. And it was actually the first issue it was written, but there was this one character that we both kept coming back to. It was this attitudinal Hispanic girl named Elena Santos, and she had a scorpion tattoo on her leg, courtesy of a certain encounter that CB had on a beach on the East Coast side, not sure where. And when we got to talking about it, we decided, this character kind of stands out. Maybe there's some kind of solo book here. So it wound up evolving into not just a solo book, but also a completely different subject matter and a kind of an anti-hero sort of character, which is what she was anyway. She was going to be sort of like the attitude character on the book. And I was like, those are usually the ones with the most personality, and they're the ones that people kind of gravitate to. Your standout sort of people who kind of get things done by any means necessary, that kind of person. And so next thing you know, it was almost like a fuse was lit, and CB had established a look for her and everything, and it was just like, oh, this has got to happen. This has just got to happen. So, and I don't know what angle you might have, CB, on that, but that's just what I remember, is that it was a character that just kind of stood out, and we both kind of said, we need to do something with this character first before we do anything else. Next thing you know, we've got a book.
Yeah. I mean, you hit most of the key points. The inspiration for her look did happen. It was on a beach kind of near Cape Cod, and I saw this girl in a black bikini, and she had this big tattoo down her side, and I thought, man, that's an awesome look. So I probably stared too long, but, eventually she made her way into the sketchbook. And when we were, pitching different character ideas, You know, she was one I pitched, and we kind of refined her look together. And like Mike said, it was supposed to be a team book, and it just, I don't know, we both kind of gravitated toward, you know, Elena Santos and Scorpiana. And if I'm not mistaken, she was actually not only in that giant book, but then we had another concept which may someday make its way into fruition, and we tossed her around as being part of this other super team too. And I don't know, eventually it just was like Mike said, this is a character we have to take advantage of. So we thought, let's see what happens. And I don't know, just felt like it was, you know, the right call. And I don't know, I love drawing Scorpiana. I love the life that Mike brings to her and her story. It's always interesting. I know Mike and I, when we talk, he always talks about how it's fun to see his words put into pictures, because obviously he sees things one way and I see it another. But I get the same reaction too when I get the script to see, well, where was he taking this story in issue 1 into issue 2? You know, and we'll pitch ideas back and forth, but he always has an interesting twist and turn to throw in there. And it makes it as exciting for me to read the script that I'm working from, you know, as it is to bring life to it in pictures.
Well, I'll say this about when I am scripting for this character. Basically, I kind of go apeshit, I guess is the best way to put it, in the sense that I might be more restrained or more what's the right word I'm looking for? Yeah, restrained, I think is really the term. But in her case, I just kind of say, you know, the more extreme, not like, for example, Tim Vigil Faust extreme, not to that extent, but the more I can just make her, kind of like a force of nature. I think that's the best way to put it. Even if she didn't have superpowers, this character, just by sheer force of strength of will, would be a force of nature and would be kicking somebody's ass somewhere. Okay. And for that matter, I brought in some things that I know are things that both CB and I like. Pro wrestling, for example. One of my favorite things that CB does for other companies is he'll specialize in these like pro wrestling style covers for certain characters. And when you got that kind of like that same quality in both of your DNA, you're like, that's got to be in a book somewhere. I mean, that's just gotta. And so, yeah, she starts off as a wrestler. She and her sister, by the way, is also imbued with powers, and she's currently stuck in a cryo tube right now at the hands of the madman that gave them their powers. So by issue 3, fingers crossed, by issue 3, she should be busting out of that tube, and who knows what's going to happen. And then you're going to have 2 Santos sisters, not just one. And it's going to be a ride, to say the least. But it's been a blast to take this concept that has a little bit of the ideas that we were formulating from that one book, and then ideas I've had, and then ideas that CB had, especially when he mentioned the Hispanic girl on the beach with the big scorpion tattoo on the side. It was almost like a given that was going to inform her powers. I mean, just there was no way it couldn't. So, yeah, that's been kind of the genesis of the character, and I'm just glad that all the spices, all the ingredients seem to be resulting in one awesome, crazy cake that everybody is liking. So I'm just really pleased about that, and it's been fun to do, and I can't wait to do some more on it. It's just, yeah. Gives you a reason to breathe.
I will agree, because whenever I jumped on the Kickstarter and got #1, and it sold itself the way that it was done, but then whenever you actually get the book in your hands, you're actually able to go through it. It really it packs a punch, if I can say it that way, because like you said, even if she didn't have powers, she is that force of nature. And if you have not read it, Oh, you definitely need to get on board with that. And I'm sure you'll have like a back issue thing where you can get caught up on it on the Kickstarter as well.
Yeah, we are working out the details of exactly what we're going to be offering and how. And yes, Lewis, there are two Santos sisters coming up. I love Lewis chiming in, and we are planning to offer not just offer of course issue 2. As well as the digital versions of 1 and 2 that are bundled together so that we can offer those up. But also, we've talked about since certain copies have been pretty popular, reprinting some of those as well. So just depending on, you know, how we I guess the big question is whether or not we offer them as part of the campaign, or like I've been looking at Gumroad for setting up like a virtual store, and I know you can sell digitalware through that, but if there's a way to sell, you know, also physical products through something like that, we might look at it that way. But at a minimum, if we were to get enough orders like during the campaign for issue 2 for copies of the first issue, certain copies of the first issue, then, you know, it wouldn't be any problem. The printers already have files, you know, the files. So, you know, I would assume it'd be pretty easy. So, but yeah, we're working on that. And there's definitely going to be a way for people to get caught up on the story. That's important because when you build these things, you're bringing in, hopefully, new people who maybe didn't get that first issue and want to. And they're like, I can get 2 issues here. Awesome. So,
now, Steph is in here, and thank you for being here, Steph. But Steph has a point on here, said, had to share, didn't know this was going on. Phil needs a promoter. I'm just going to say Phil is not a professional interviewer by any means. I say that on pretty much every show. So if you know somebody who can help out with promoting, because I can promote other people's stuff very well. My own stuff, I kind of get, dragged down a little bit on that. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, Russell just in the chat just mentioned that the live Scorpion stretch goals. We talked about that. We actually did, but we settled on actually we've got some really impressive plastic scorpions that are like this big, and they're like about 6 inches long, and for like the first X number of backers at certain levels, we're going to maybe make those available. I sent him off to CB because I thought he might be able to.
Hang on, he's getting full screen on this one.
Yes, there it is. They're wonderful. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I was like, man, oh yeah, dangerous, man. I'll tell you. But yeah, so those are going to be on offer. We've got a few of those to put out there. But yeah, if we didn't think we'd run into trouble with like the law and things like that by shipping live scorpions to people, we would do that. But
it could be one of those. It could be one of those, the surprise goal that you don't know until you stick your hand in the box.
Exactly. It's like, what's in here? Oh boy. Yeah. Have any of you ever actually encountered a scorpion? Just curiously, I have. It was the weirdest thing. When I first came to Atlanta, I was holed up with my sister and my brother-in-law for a while just to get my feet established so I could get my first job here. And I love it. I was in the spare bedroom, and I looked to my right, and there was a scorpion on the floor crawling along. It was about, I'd say, this big, and it was not black. It was it was sort of a more translucent kind of exoskeleton kind of thing. But I was like, a scorpion? What the hell? I mean, it's just one of those things. I've only seen them in the movies and TV, and suddenly there's one on the floor. And let me tell you, you can't squash them. I'm just letting you know. You put on your shoe, you try to stomp it. That thing, it's just like, what do you think you're doing? So you have to get the glass and something and trap it and throw it out, and hope it never shows up again in your life. So yeah, just apropos of nothing, I had a scorpion encounter of my very own. So maybe that was kismet. Maybe 20 plus years ago, that should have told me I'd be writing a comic about a scorpion girl someday.
I mean, who knows? You might have had the tattoo on your leg by then. We
Right.
never know.
No, that's true. That's true. Actually, I should maybe think about that. Hey, yeah. I don't think anybody wants to see it on me the way they want to see it on Elena Santos. Let's just put it like that. Just gonna tell you.
I'm just going to say, CB, if you're paying attention, writing notes about cover suggestions, let's not do where it's Mike's leg up there with the scorpion. I don't think that's going to be a primary cover.
No,
yeah, I don't know.
That's right out. That's right out.
Yeah. I'll just make a note of that off to the side here.
Steph just mentioned in the chat wood scorpions. I believe that's what that turned out. That's what that turned out to be. But Russell, you're talking about a prop face hugger. Well, what do you know? Meet Huggy. This is actually one of 2 plush. Oops, wait a minute. Cables. 2 plush face huggers I've got. One I bought, and one I got as a gift, and I didn't have the heart to tell them, hey, I've actually got one. So what's better than 1 face hugger plush? 2 face hugger plushes. So anyway. Sorry, just had to bring that up. I've got an M41A pulse rifle, by the way. The Aliens is my favorite film of all time, and I've got an M41A pulse rifle that I bought from Evike, which is one of those airsoft type guns. Shoots the pellets, but I don't have it in here, so.
Come on! You were turning into the Carrot Top of Alien paraphernalia.
Is he big into that?
Hey, Aliens rules, man.
Oh yeah. But Carrot Top. I'm not sure.
Because he's a prop comic. He's always got.
No, that's true. That's true. He likes to. I mean, he's not quite on the level of Gallagher, but remember Gallagher with the Smash-O-Matic with the watermelon?
Oh yeah.
Who didn't grow up on Gallagher destroying watermelons in the front row, having to be covered in plastic sheeting, or else they were going to get watermelon guts on them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this: as far as Scorpion is concerned, with number 2 coming out, is it too early to go ahead and ask what you do have planned for this? Because Live Scorpions is probably going to be at the bottom of that list, I'm hoping.
Well, yeah, I can tell you, we have some incredible covers coming your way. Actually, in a way, we have a surplus of covers, and a few of them we've had to actually decide to bump and use on Scorpion at 3, fingers crossed that we get there. So I'm excited about that. We have Steph Wilson on board with a couple of goodies. So you guys are going to love it. It is one of my favorite things that I've seen from Steph Wilson. You know how amazing his work is. So there's that. A couple of new artists that probably be new names to everybody. And we'll be, doing some promo pieces and showing some pictures, soon leading up to the campaign. And Mike, if you want to elaborate on some of those covers, go ahead. But I'm really excited. I'm actually really fired up about the main cover that I did. I think it turned out really, really strong. I don't always color my own pieces because it takes me forever to do it. But this one, I was so happy with the colors for it. And I'm excited to get that out for everyone to see. So we have those. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the Scorpiana or the Scorpions, that we are going to use to entice some backers. There's a lot that we actually have planned. Mike, I'll let you jump in real quick. And
Sure. And one of the things that Niobe Comics has mentioned or asked about is to have the books for Canada been mailed. And I know that you've been interfacing with Direct Impressions, CB, and I know that they told you that they were going to mail them out. That was last week, right?
Yes, that was last week. And I'm waiting for one more follow-up from them. They have a list of countries that they are now just kind of opening themselves up to, that are on the United States Postal Service list of okay countries. And I know Canada is one of them. So those should be going out. Mike and I have been just as frustrated as I think any of our backers, that this isn't going, that the international shipping didn't happen the way that we wanted. Obviously, in part due to COVID, which no one could foresee. So, and that's even going to impact some of, the international sales going forward for the time being, depending on what countries, are expecting books. So it's been a frustrating process because we want to get our books out to people. We're so proud of Scorpiano 1. And it's really, sadly, kind of out of our control at this point. I have to keep emailing and saying, hey, we need these books out. We need these books out. So they're well aware of it. And I'm usually a pretty low-key kind of person, but I've sort of made my voice heard about getting that done. So that's where that stands as far as the international shipping. So those should be going out. I know there are delays, in some cases weeks. So
right.
Again.
And if you don't have it yet, just trust me or trust us when we say it's worth the wait. We hate that you've had to wait. And certain other projects have not had the same issues. So that's what we kind of, I think CB pointed out to them that they were, the comics were from other projects were getting to Canada and Australia and some of these other destinations. So that kind of sort of got the fire relit under them. And I think for this, the next project, our inclination is to more or less kind of divvy up the fulfillment duties and handle it that way, because that way, at the very least, if it doesn't get there, it's not because I didn't stick it in the mail or CB didn't stick it in the mail. It'll be because of some other third party in between having some issue with it. But we definitely want to get what we make to people, because, Kickstarter's got this rep of people not being reliable and not getting their merchandise out when they should, or taking the money after they start a project and then suddenly they disappear. We eat those folks. We want people to get these books. We want them to enjoy it. I mean, it's part of the contract, between the creators of the book and the makers of the book and the people who want to consume it and read it and be entertained by it. It's a circuit, and we're pleased to be a part of it. And so we're going to do our absolute best to make sure that issue 2 gets out by hook or by crook. I mean, if we have to get Indiana Jones, with his whip swinging through the jungle, freaking delivering comics, we'll do what we have to, But as far as issue 2 is concerned, and some of the things we've got on offer, CB mentioned that we've got that outstanding Steph Wilson cover, and just going to mention that it's just this great idea. It's nose cone art. It's like Scorpiano on a bomber's nose cone riding a bomb. And she's got under her, she's got this little, like, it's almost like a college mascot, like a fighting tarantula with this like on his face. And, that by itself, I mean, if we could isolate that, that would just be perfect for a sticker or something like that, just by itself, But then you throw in his take on Scorpiano, it is just wonderful. And I had gotten Philippine artist Erwin J. Oroza, who does Grenadon and a number of other projects, and his artwork is he just has a style that I haven't seen on anybody else's stuff, whether it's black and white or color. And got him to do a cover for the book, and that's actually something that CB took and turned into. I had run across this artist, Robert, I think his name is Robert McGinnis, who was one of the people who did, if you remember pulp novels, that 30s, 40s, 50s, through the 60s, there would be some, dame and some tough guy, and they would just be, it would just really be the promise of some sort of action-oriented, gritty story. And he took that and he mocked up this pulp novel style cover that just has to be seen to be believed. It's really, really awesome. And I approached a Brazilian artist named David Lima. I've always thought that he is just really good, and he's part of that Ed Bennis Studios, who produces so many Brazilian artists who do work in that vein. And we had this concept for a cover of basically Scorpion breaking out of some chains, and I gave him that concept, and he killed it. And then I think, did you get Sanju to color that, CB?
Yes.
Yeah. And then Sanju did what Sanju does, which is he makes everything better, and he just did this brilliant coloring job on it. So that's going to be another one of the covers that we got on offer. And let me think. Of course, we've got your cover, which I've dubbed Showdown. And do you remember the poster for For Your Eyes Only? The one where the girl.
That was actually one of my influences for it, actually.
Yeah. That's I thought maybe as much, because the girl for the picture, they had her put the bathing suit on backwards to make it even more provocative, so you saw more of her backside. And it's basically that kind of shot with crack shot in the the background and her in the foreground. And he did the next level coloring work on top of the artwork. So it's just really a gorgeous cover. So we have some really, really strong, in my opinion, covers for this project, and I think it's going to really reel some people in. I'm really, really looking forward to being able to debut the Kickstarter page, if nothing else, so that we can slap these things down there, say, look what you have to choose from. And I think the people are really going to like it.
Absolutely. Now, I know I'm going to ask the question because I know there's several people in the audience that are probably going to want the question as well, is because, CB, you wear the Into the Suck shirt. Are we going to be seeing a Scorpiana shirt like that'll be for sale for the rest of us as well?
I mean, we've kind of thrown that around. I don't think we've seriously looked into it, but I know there's sites out there. And if there were enough interest, absolutely. And again, like Mike alluded to the idea, we are, hopefully going to set up a store at some point for Outpost 426 Studios. And that might be a great way to offer it. I've never offered t-shirts or clothing in a Kickstarter. And quite frankly, I don't know how well they do. And maybe they would. Maybe it's worth it putting out there. So
there is one kind of a low risk way to actually offer what we're talking about. I created some T-shirt designs that through. Hang on a second. It's a TeePublic, teepublic.com. I have a Cobra Clutch out there, and it started just with it started when I made a shirt. I just wanted a custom shirt that said aliens, and there was no such creature. I mean, back when they were promoting the movie in the 80s, they gave some out promotionally, and that was it. And I was like, this is a void in my life and in the life of a lot of people. So I took the logo and made it large enough, resolution for their site, and stuck it on there. And it turned out great. And so the next thing I did was if you remember in the movie, as they're waking up in the cryotubes, there's this readout, and it starts showing the names of the people and their serial numbers and ranks and so forth. And I took that and meticulously recorded all that information, and I made a roster shirt, because we need that in our lives as well as Aliens fans. And in fact, one of the things that I noticed when I put it together is somebody pointed out, where's Hudson? You remember Hudson is, of course, the wise guy that's scared shitless until he actually has to get in the battle, suddenly becomes a berserker. But, he's not on the roster. It's weird. It goes all the way down to Ripley and Burke, but he's not there. And somebody said, where's Hudson? I was like, you're right. In the movie, his name is not on that roster. That's weird. So I made another one that had somebody mentioned that I guess as part of the Aliens Extended Universe material, like on one of the websites, it's got his name, it's like the first letter, and it's got the serial number, and I made a roster including him, so you can have one that's movie accurate or one that's got Hudson in addition. But I've actually sold a few shirts off of that. And you know, if they're running a sale, you get a couple of bucks per T-shirt, and if they're not running a sale, you get like $4 a T-shirt. And so that would be a perfect outlet for a no-risk way of sticking Into the Suck shirts up there, Scorpiana shirts up there, Might, just anything you can think of like that. And because they handle the actual printing and distribution of the shirt that gets ordered, and so you just get a little artist royalty coming back at you. So if nothing else, we will have that available for our characters. It's just one possibility, and it seems like a good, like I say, low risk kind of thing, so you don't have to have like boxes full of T-shirts sticking them around in your garage or something and then mailing them out whenever somebody orders one. So anyway,
I'm just stepping off to the side here for a sec, because I'm looking at some of these comments and I want to write down some of these ideas people are throwing.
Yeah, they were sending a lot of ideas on the T-shirt things. I couldn't even. I didn't want to bring them all up at the same time because there was a ton of them coming up.
Like, look at that! They were just giving us all kinds of ideas for that stuff.
Yeah,
man. Thank you, Paul.
And I would like to, beyond a T-shirt, I would like to do a sublimated shirt like the Into the Suck one I often wear.
Yeah, the all over style.
Yeah.
That is definitely a wonderful thing.
So who knows? I mean, I think it's not a question of if we're going to do it; it's when we're going to do it.
That's exactly right. And these ideas that we're getting, that's obviously going to be the ticket, one way or the other. So, and Steph, you're right. I like aliens. Oh my God, yes. As a matter of fact, CB can tell you how we came about, how the name Outpost 426 came about, because of two movies we happen to be super fans of.
Yeah, it's a combination of two of our favorite movies. 426, I think most people could probably figure that out. And Outpost is actually shortened from Outpost 31. And I'll see if people can figure out where that comes from before I actually divulge the two secrets. But that's where Outpost 426 Studios came from when we were kind of jostling around ideas. And I could even take it a step further, like on this logo here that I'm wearing. The background is actually a clue as to where the outpost comes from. And there's a green version of the logo that is the clue to the 426. Yeah. So I'll leave it at that. We'll tease that for a little bit, Demon Phil. And we'll reveal it later on if people can't figure it out.
And if the top part of the shirt isn't enough of a giveaway for at least half of the puzzle, I don't know what is. Yeah, but yes, Steph, sorry, there's quiz. Pop quiz.
Actually, I mean, the bottom is a clue as well.
It absolutely is.
The Nautilus star, so okay. Oh, look at Lewis coming through.
Lewis, he scores.
Lewis got Outpost 31.
Yes, absolutely.
And he gets like in the old days, he gets the Marvel No Prize.
Yeah, and then of course you get the people writing in saying, "What's a no prize? What's a no prize?" And then of course they're deliberately vague about it because there is no prize. But yeah. So absolutely. Talk about another situation where you've got wrestling in common, you've got aliens in common, you've got the thing in common, and just natural chemistry. It just all comes together in a wonderful way, and you definitely aren't going to see any Roger Waters, David Gilmour friction going on that will, break up the band like Pink Floyd or, anything like that. That's for sure.
Yeah. We are the Billy Idol and Steve Stevens of comics.
Damn straight. That's another thing, because my first two concerts, I was not a big go out and do things in high school kind of guy. My first two concerts I made sure to see was Billy Idol's Rebel Yell, and then Billy Idol follow up Whiplash Smile. Okay. And then I caught him a couple of times here in Atlanta, and you finally got a chance to see the man.
Yeah.
You finally got a chance to see him, and I'm jealous because Steve Stevens did that theme for Top Gun, another film that we share as a favorite, and he performed that in live, and I wish he had done that for us. That was something that the set changes. And I thought that was cool that he
very cool.
Now, I want to say real quick before we go a little bit further, just real quick, because I saw her jump in. We have a celebrity here with us right now. Morgan Bailey is in here right now.
Hey, I didn't see Morgan pop in.
So I just want to say that her cosplay and stuff like that was just, it was completely, nobody knew what was going to happen and everything. And then it was available on there. And I know you sold a ton of those there at the very end with that, with her covers on there.
Morgan absolutely killed the cosplay for Into the Suck. It was after one of my shows on Monday nights where I was drawing, and I don't know, I just got to talking with Morgan after, and I just kind of casually said, did you ever think about cosplaying for a cover? And I mean, the rest, is history. She ran with it. She showed me some ideas. And then when she finally sent me she sent me 11 pictures to choose from. And I was like, how am I going to choose just 3 out of these 11? She was worried that, that wasn't going to be enough. And I'm like, I can't even make a decision out of these. I was just blown away. Morgan killed it. I'm so grateful for it. It was one of those things where, it came in just under the gun. And I'm like, gosh, do I do this or do I hold off to issue 6? And they were just too good to not use. And I am so grateful for it. And I am absolutely going to be recruiting Morgan for, Into the Suck 6. So good. So good. Just blew away my expectations.
Yes, I completely agree. And Morgan, if you're still here, I actually need to talk to you about getting on the show, because I have a show planned with a couple of other cosplay artists that I want to get you on as well. So if you will reach out to me whenever we're done with this, I would appreciate that. If you don't mind doing that. But yeah, I mean, that was amazing. She jumped on there, and like you said, she absolutely nailed the character perfectly on there. It's like basically just putting it through a 3D printer at that point, and you came up with the perfect character. And it worked out very well at the time frame that you did that and everything with it too, because you did it right at the end whenever everything should be kind of getting to that dwelling moment of, okay, we're done and we're kind of tapering off. And all of a sudden here you go skyrocketing back up again because you added that in there, and it was great.
Well, I mean, between her and and Wendy Steen Shaner, I have to mention too, she just, we got talking at the end, and she did those Barbarella homage covers for me too. And between that and then leading into Morgan's cosplay, just added such just a next step, a next level kind of thing that I could offer at the end. I guess my only regret is that I couldn't have done the 2 of those sooner, but kind of holding that arsenal, I know going forward into issue 6, there's a lot more I can do with it. So, Morgan and Wendy just, they crushed the end of Into the Suck for me. And I, again, so grateful. And I guess this is a good time to parlay into Scorpiana. And Mike, I haven't even had a chance to talk to you about this, but Wendy reached out to me because she has her fairies Kickstarter coming up. So I'm working with Wendy to do a little cross promo with Scorpiana, which is going to be awesome because, our 2 audience groups, I think, will really work well together. And then Luis Torres, we did a cross promo between Lily and Scorpiana in the first issue, and we have a cross promo going for issue 2 as well for that, because he'll be launching Lily soon as well. So And really, for me, it's not even about the promotion part of it, but it's the indie family part of all of this that is my favorite part of everything having to do with indie comics. Like so many people that are here watching, listening to this right now have become a part of that indie family. And Phil, I mean, you're one of them too. There's a lot of, comic shops, brick and mortar or otherwise, that almost don't recognize indie, or they're on the back burner. They're in the dark corner of the store, and they don't really promote it. Just like there they are. But I think the indie world is knocking on the door of something very big, and people are finally, and slowly but finally, starting to recognize it. And maybe if there's one thing that's come out of this pandemic, with the troubles that Marvel and DC appear to have with their publishing and such, is that indie hasn't stopped. In fact, I mean, they've rolled into this kind of tidal wave, I hope. And I think people are starting to notice there's some really good stuff going on out there. So it's great to have, all those people in Niobe. I've had an opportunity to do a cover for that now. It's great. And Jimmy Noble, Red Comics, I did a Star Wars special for that cover. And then, his next book coming out, I have a cover for that. So it's an awesome experience, and it's cool to be part of this family.
So that kind of brings up my next question is, out of everyone that you have worked with before, who is someone that you have not worked with that you would absolutely love to go ahead and add into that mix and be able to work with?
Wow. I don't know, Mike, do you have a ready answer for that?
It's tough because how do I put this? The names that I would bring up either already are kind of doing some indie comics work of their own, or in like another case, a guy is still working for Marvel. And so I don't think that indie comics would be so much beneath him as it's just you'd have to find some way to kind of make it worth his while. But if we're talking about people we know, I know two artists named Steve that I've worked with on some different things in the past. One is Stephen Butler, and he actually worked for Marvel and DC back in the 90s mainly. And he got his start with Malibu just like I did, except for he preceded me on some comics. And he's a terrific artist. And he actually, if you remember, the Spider books were super duper hot back in the 90s. And they even spun off a Spider clone named the Scarlet Spider. And he had all the same powers, and he called himself Ben Parker, I think it was, instead of Peter. And he wore a spider outfit, except for he had on the sleeveless kind of hoodie thing. And he drew several issues of that, and Silver Sable before that, which is the character who wears the all sort of like the sort of silver bodysuit kind of thing. And she's a kind of a mercenary, but she does good stuff. And I got a chance to work with him for London Night Studios on an issue of a Cyber Girl comic called Tommy Gun. And it'd be great to revisit that with him sometime. It's just he's got so much on his plate in terms of commissions, as well as a Kickstarter that he's started with his daughter about a character based, well, these sort of animal human characters based out of Celtic mythology. So, he's super busy, but at the very least, I hope to at least engage him for a cover here and there, some additional art. He'd be great. And a buddy of mine who I grew up with in the same region, this was back, I met both of these guys back on the Mississippi Gulf Coast when I lived there, because there's an Air Force base there. My dad was an Air Force guy, and we retired there, etc. But his name's Steve Scott, and he also has done work for Marvel and DC, and he's a really talented artist, and he is currently living in Belgium, of all places. Then again, given the way things can be kind of spotty here in terms of the availability of certain things, I can kind of understand. But you know, healthcare being one, he has it over there. He doesn't over here. I guess that's the most way to put it. And so he has already expressed, you know, a willingness to, you know, kind of help out with the campaign. He, in fact, I helped him move out of his apartment here in Alpharetta, Georgia, and basically, the people that helped him move would be actually. He'd do a cover for him at some point in the future, and so I'll probably ask him for one of those at some point. And I was the only one to show up, by the way. That just shows you nobody likes to move, either their stuff or somebody else's. I mean, that's just how it is. It's if you've got the money, pay somebody. Okay, I don't know. But those are the two names that I can. Well, two names plus the guy who's currently working for Marvel, Leonard Kirk. He's just done all kinds of different properties for them. Everybody from Black Panther to a lot of the Star Wars comics. He used to do Star Trek for them. You name it, he draws it. And if I could ever hook up with him, he'd be somebody I would care to work with. Yeah,
it's funny. But when you asked that question, my first thought went to like, are there any companies that I would want to work with? I didn't even think like individuals right away. You know, like personally as an artist, there are some characters I would love to draw, and I'd be lying if I didn't say my goal initially was to do Marvel or DC characters, if for no other reason to say, hey, you know, I did an issue of Wonder Woman, and people would be like, oh wow, I know Wonder Woman. And that used to be really important to me. But like I said, with this growing community of indie comics, it's not as big a deal for me anymore. I love, I guess, the diversity of indie comics and the sheer, you know, number of characters that can be from all sorts of different genres. And I really enjoy being able to do that. If I'm talking about collaborating with the number one artist on my list that I would love to have do something of mine is Adam Hughes. He is my god of comic art. I have reached out to him several times, hoping, praying, fingers crossed and all that stuff. I haven't been completely rejected, but we'll see. But he would be number one. And then my like kind of one of my all-time favorite artists is Paul Smith. If people remember his run on the X-Men, and then shortly after, it was about a year run on the X-Men, taking over for Dave Cockrum, actually, working with Chris Claremont. And then he went on to do Doctor Strange, and he was one of my favorite artists when I was younger and collecting. You know, I know off camera we were talking about John Byrne and stuff like that, and you know, Byrne was great and Perez was fantastic too. And Paul Smith was one of those guys that, I don't know, I gravitated toward his smooth lines and work. And I've often thought about reaching out to him just for my own sheer vanity, not even for strictly for sales, just because I want to have I have one Paul Smith sketch that I got from him at a con. He was sitting by himself. I walked over. I said, hey, are you Paul Smith from, you know, X-Men and Doctor Strange? He's like, yes, I am. And there was nobody around, so we chatted for half an hour. I asked him for a sketch. He said, sure. He said, you know, who's your favorite character? And I said, I've always been a Colossus fan. So he did a Colossus head sketch for me, didn't charge me for it. We just had a great conversation. And I'm really grateful for it. It is one of my most cherished pieces of art. But those would be my two like big time wish lists to get to do something.
Did Paul Smith start off as an animator before he became a comic book artist? I seem to recall reading that somewhere, but I'm not sure.
That may be the case. I couldn't tell you with 100% certainty, but he certainly has a style that fits well for that.
Right. When you mentioned the line work, I mean, I remember, like you said, when I was a longtime avid X-Men collector. I went through the Cockrum period. They went to space and ran around with the Starjammers for a while. And then the Paul Smith era came about, and I was like, wow, this is really different, a different style. I mean, it suits the comic, but like you said, the lines were just different. It was more about how do I put this? It was less about, I guess you'd say, the interior detail and more about the figures.
Yeah.
That suited, what I had read about him maybe being an animator. It just made sense to me. But yeah, Paul Smith. I mean, hell of an artist. Didn't he do? He did something with Kurt Busiek, didn't he? That DC book. Oh hell. I'll have to look that up. It was really good.
Paul Smith for DC.
What's that?
You said Paul Smith for DC?
Yeah, I thought that Paul Smith did something with Kurt Busiek.
Wow, that
was it Astro City? Did he do that with him?
It may have been something like that, or gosh, I feel like, I don't know. That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I'd have to look though.
It's in a box. It's in a box in one of my long boxes in my closet somewhere. I'll have to dig around to see if I can find that, or maybe actually just Google it because that's easier. And I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are excellent choices. I mean, if we're talking about fantasy choices, I mean, especially with a book like Scorpiana, the only other people I can think of that would really be, just absolutely wonderful to get would be somebody like you say with Adam Hughes. You're also talking about possibly depending on the mood he's in terms of how he's drawing the figure, Frank Cho maybe. But also, if you're looking for somebody that's got just a wonderful style, and I know that you have done some sketches in the vein of this gentleman, J. Scott Campbell would be an interesting choice for something like this. I mean, it would be a lot cartoonier, but at the same time, it would still capture that sort of sexy vibe that the book really requires to be what it is.
When it comes to J. Scott Campbell, I would actually love to have him do an interior. I love his interior art more than his covers. I think his interior art has such an energy and flow to it that I think sometimes is even lost on his covers. Mm-hmm. But that would be a dream to just have him do a one-shot interior book more so than a cover.
Yeah, can you imagine Adam Hughes cover and a J. Scott Campbell interior? I don't think that they would have enough paper. They wouldn't have enough paper in the universe to print the copies that would sell. In my opinion, I'm telling you, just sell like mad, boy.
Yeah.
Now we were talking about the with the indies as a community and everything too. So I want to go ahead and bring up because I think CB you had mentioned that you've got a collaboration with Jim on Totally Rad coming up.
Yeah, I have a cover coming off for him. I don't know how much I can say about it or not, but it's a little naughty. Let's put it that way.
It's totally rad. It's okay.
yeah, exactly. But it's really fun. I don't know. I'm not sure how much.
I'm not saying to give away that. I'm just saying you're working on that project. But my point is you're working on that one. And then on the 24th, you've got Wendy's, which is coming out.
Yeah.
And then in July, you've got Lewis, which is coming out with his Lily Demoness #4.
Right. And Scorpiana. So I have a cover invested in all of those, actually. And then, Scorpiana 2 will carry me into the release of Might through ClickCon with Tom Hutchinson and Wendy Steen Shaner. So it's kind of like the summer, for me, the summer of Zane. And then I know, Fire Bitch 2 is coming out fairly soon, I believe. And I have a cover for that one. It's a neat homage that I think a lot of people will appreciate. So it's been busy, and I love being part of so many things. And, even if it's not a true cross promotion, it's nice that we all look out and promote for one another, because I think we all genuinely want success for each other, because if indie comics do well for one, it does well for everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah, the summer of Zane. Yes,
I completely agree on that, because the more interconnection you get, the better, because you get a lot of people who might have seen this project but who haven't seen this other project, and suddenly they've got eyes on what you're doing as well as what they're doing, and vice versa. And it's just good that everyone can kind of grow their audience in that way, and it's just a mutually beneficial proposition for all parties involved. And so, yeah, absolutely. Rather than, some guys, they really do have this attitude that it's a big competition, and you approach them and they really are aloof and standoffish about the idea of any kind of crossover, or even making people aware of your book. It's not a zero-sum game. Okay, it's not that a sale for this book equals a no sale for your book. Okay, I mean, you're gaining volume, in terms of exposure for your material, and every little bit helps. And so it makes no sense to me that there are some people who are just that guarded, and they're just they're thinking, well, we've all got the same store on the same street, so I have to really be really be hardcore and try to cut the legs out from other people, or try not to help them in any way. And it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, we're not on the same street in the sense that we're all selling hardware, or we're all selling booze, or whatever, pick your item of choice. I mean, we're all selling different flavors of the same thing, So that's why it just makes sense to cooperate and help each other out. And
see, we can't get too much into the competition thing, because Steph Wilson is still watching, so we got to keep that down, low key on that end.
I was glad too that my Niobe cover was mentioned as well.
Yes.
I wasn't sure when exactly the release was at, but that's end of the summer, and that was a lot of fun to do too. So, one more cover, and I truly enjoy doing the covers for everyone. I hope people like the work that I do. I hope I get invited to do more covers, because it's a blast. It really is.
And it does. I mean, it promotes for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a couple of questions here. One for Michael and one for UCB. We'll start with Michael on this one. Michael, what's been one of the largest obstacles that you've had to face in your career and working on writing and everything, and how did you get past it?
Well, I would say that the fact that I am an inherently lazy human being has been my biggest obstacle, and I don't mind mentioning that. I mean, the truth is that I am a classic creator, in the sense that it's in my head and it floats around in my head and gyrates there, and I think about it, and I have every intention of doing it, but I've got the attention span of a goldfish sometimes. And so, if you remember the movie Up, with the dog, every time he saw a squirrel, I mean, that's how I feel sometimes. And so it really does sometimes take, and I'm not alone in this regard as far as writers especially go. In order to do it, you have to sit down and do it. And so that's really what got, in the case of Scorpiana, for example, that's really one of the things that I've been able to do. I've been able to say, this book isn't going to happen unless I write the damn thing. And so, I get down in my chair and I'm like, oh God, where am I going to start? And then finally something clicks, and then I get the germ and I go from there. And the next thing you know, I've got a script, and I'm like, well, that wasn't so bad. But then I go squirrel, and suddenly, it's a process, And so really it's developing better habits that have made all the difference. And that's one of the reasons why, after all this time, I mean, I've written here and there over the years, but it's been tough to really get that focus that I've needed. And lately I've been better about adopting those habits. I've been reading up on, certain writers have certain habits. They like to do things at certain times. They like to do things in certain ways. And I found the ones that work for me. So now it's a case of sticking to that plan, Because let's face it, when it comes to writing, it's not like I've been shackled to a chair in a closet somewhere and unable to write. You know, I don't have that excuse. I just needed to actually. One thing that helped, I will say this, is that when I saw the success that the indie books were having, part of it is discouragement because you just don't know. Well, I've got this idea. I want to get it out there, but you know, you don't want to think you're just casting stuff off into the vortex, never to be seen again, or maybe get a couple of comments here and there. No, that was nice. You know, if I wanted that kind of thing, I'd write fan fiction, you know, and there's nothing wrong with writing fan fiction, but, you know, you kind of want more of a reward than that. And then I saw the success people were having with Kickstarters. CB and Into the Suck was doing well issue after issue. And I was like, you know, there's just really no reason now not to start trying to get in on that. And fortunately, between CB's discussion and mine about Scorpiana and that leading to the project, I mean, that has really been a big difference maker as far as me understanding, okay, there is now a correlation between doing the work and being rewarded for it, you know, so that's been huge. That has really been huge. And plus, getting the thing, one of the things that CB mentioned about, I think it was Into the Suck and then Scorpiana especially, is when you finally get your copies and they're in your hand and you're looking at it and you're like, wow, I mean, this is our book. This is something we made. I mean, it's like having a baby, you know, and you're like, oh my God, I'm a parent. And I mean, you know, I don't actually have kids, but I mean, this is the closest thing, and it's an inspiring thing, and that's why Scorpiana 2 was not nearly as difficult to give birth to as Scorpiana 1 might have been, and it's getting easier as it goes along. So yeah, that's what I would say is that sometimes when you talk about you can be your own worst enemy, well, in terms of creative stuff, I have been that, but that's getting better, and I'm really, really pleased about that, to be able to put the work in and see a result for it. And so that's how I overcame it, was actually doing it, you know, and you know, just having that feedback, getting the feedback from CB, getting the feedback from people who actually read the thing and so they liked it, and you're like, okay, maybe we have something here. And so that would be my long-winded answer for that.
And that's why I enjoy doing the book reviews, is because that way I have a chance at looking at something and looking at it. Yes, I have to be unbiased, and sometimes it really sucks on doing so. But you can go ahead and you can look at it, because I have to tear it apart, you know, piece by piece. I have to take the lettering off in my mind. I have to take the panels off in my mind. I have to take the art apart. I have to take the pages apart. I mean, everything on there, and then go back and look at it going, if it didn't have lettering, how does it look? You know, how does it read? Is the flow in there okay? Does it make me want to go ahead and turn the pages very quickly, or go ahead and read through everything? And it is very cool whenever you get books in there that I can come on and do an online review and be like, you've got to get this thing. Or in your case, whenever I said, you know, this is going to be my first review that sucks. And it was great because it was based on your book and everything and your books, but they did. I mean, they were amazing to go ahead and go through, and it did have that page turn effect on there. And whenever I was talking about it and how it actually, because I was very detailed on my review on how I was going through, because I was going through on how the panels were, the lettering, the dialogue. I mean, I have certain parameters that I always look at, because if I just go, you know, CB and I, you know, we talk off to the side every once in a while. I've been on his show several times. He's got a great book. I know he does great artwork. I know it's got to be good. I can't do that. I mean, I've got to go out there and put an unbiased thing out there, but also it's not fair to everyone else who reads it later on if I am biased, because they're going to be like, okay, so what's going on there? Why does he think this one's actually good? Because it wasn't. And whereas, you know, he didn't, you know, catch this part, that part, whatever. So it is kind of cool to have that. So whenever you're saying that you have a newborn that you're handling and everything, I greatly agree, because that's whenever you hand something like that over to me, I try not to drop it. Trust me. It only dropped on its head a couple of times. It was okay.
Oh, and change the diaper while you're at it, please.
Yeah.
But it was. I mean, it was great with that. But
Thanks.
CB.
I appreciate that, Phil.
Oh, no problem. No, I got a question for you, CB.
Yeah.
What has been your most challenging commission that you've had? And the reason I ask this is because your show on Mondays, we get on there and you've made it now where we can actually get on there and give you ideas, which I crack my knuckles almost every time because it's fun. And you actually used a couple of mine, which is really cool. But you've had some that have come up there that even I'm kind of sitting back going, whoa, is he going to be able to finish the show? Or, you know, how much is this going to take? What's been your most challenging one that you've had to do?
I would say the most challenging ones are usually the ones that are sort of obscure or characters that I'm not 100% familiar with. You know, you throw at me, you know, a Batman, a Superman. I know what they look like. I know what I can do with them. Like, it wasn't challenging. It was fun, but doing a sexy Smurfette was something that I thought, well, sure, let's give it a shot. Morticia and Gomez. The Addams Family one was one. It was thrown out there, and I thought, that's kind of fun. Do it black and white. How can I do the composition? And I really wasn't sure like how popular it was going to be, and it ended up being one of the most popular ones I did. It was challenging because there needs to be some recognition to it. Like, you know what Gomez looks like, you know what Morticia looks like, and still keeping it, I guess, in my wheelhouse as an artist and in my style, but still having a likeness. A few weeks back, I did a Kylo Ren and Rey piece. In fact, I still have it over here, which I love, and I might frame it myself, but like, I'm so picky about, like, it needs to look like Rey. And I think I captured a little bit of Rey. Kylo Ren was a little easier because obviously he has the mask, but trying to come up with an interesting composition. And I went to look at like a Death Star interior. And so that was my idea for the framework of it. But I really wanted to capture to some extent what Rey looked like. So anytime it gets into dealing with someone who's, I guess, played by an actor, that's difficult. It's a challenge. Because I don't want people to say like, I mean, I could just do it stylized and call it a day, but that's kind of not how I'm wired. And sometimes that ends up being my own worst enemy when it comes to doing that. So usually it's something like that that's the biggest challenge.
I'd say that recently, one of the ones that I know that in terms of it being a challenge, or at least, how do I put this? The time and effort that went into the mermaid piece you did most recently, especially since it was across two shows, and you got the picture down and most of the colors the first time around, but then the second time around, you really just started coloring like a crazy man. And the next thing you know, you've got water effects and everything going on in there. And that was, I mean, I don't think too much about mermaids, but I was like, damn, this is just, this is a pleasure to watch him do his craft. And it really was amazing. I'm just curious, has more than one person seemed to express interest in that. Is that one is it going to be for sale, or has it been sold?
That one is sold and already shipped. So
there we go. I knew it, because that's the funny thing about it. I was like, this one of anything he's done is going to go fast. So if you want it, you better jump on it, because it really was that good. It was
I know, because I missed my sexy Smurfette. Yes, because that one went very quickly. I think that one you were probably getting messages while you were drawing it.
Phil, actually, sexy Smurfette is still available.
Really?
Here she is.
Look at that!
I thought you said that one was gone.
No, it was not.
Oh, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. Yeah.
So yeah, and it's funny, like what goes quick and what doesn't. Sometimes they think, I think people are really going to like this one, and then it kind of sits. And other ones, I think, like, yeah, it was fun to do. I don't know if anyone's going to be interested in it, and that goes like that. So
how about Power Girl? I remember that you had done that.
Power Girl did sell, yes,
okay,
it did. Yes. But I still have a few others I can share. I mean, Starfire's still around, Medusa's still around. So
okay.
But yeah, but I do enjoy it. It gives me a chance to explore again other characters. Sometimes, a lot of times, ones that normally I wouldn't get a chance to do.
Now, the mite you did, is that going to be part of your campaign, or are you going to frame and then put her on the wall?
That one found a home in Texas.
Texas. Oh, okay.
It might be up in the walls of Codex Entertainment
Oh my
as we
God.
speak.
Codex Entertainment. That narrows it down a little. I have to think a little bit more about who might have wound up buying that one. But I remember that you had done that excellent Scorpiana that we made part of the campaign, but I think you held on to that one, if I'm not mistaken.
That one actually eventually sold as well.
Okay, good.
Well, it was actually during Virtual Con.
Okay.
Sold quite a few pieces, which was a really good thing. So
nice.
Now, that is the last thing that I want to kind of bring up tonight on all this, as you just brought up about the cons, because you and Wendy and Tom Hutchison are about to set apart the con scene completely, because everybody knows, and nobody's going to disagree with me on this, Wendy absolutely set the bar so incredibly high by doing her online con at the beginning of the year before the world turned upside down. And actually set the measurements and everything for that. And now you three are going to work together to make it bigger and better. That just boggles my mind to actually fathom how that could even happen.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Wendy came up with a concept before it was an idea, before it was a concept for other people, and she killed it. And it was one of those things. I'll parlay this story real quick. I remember watching a comedian show, kind of like a American Idol for comedians, and Joe Rogan was one of the guest judges, and he was critiquing this one comic, and he was talking about a joke he made, and he said, that's one of those jokes that as a comic, I'm jealous because I wish I had written it and could use it. And Wendy created something that I was so jealous of and wished I had come up with that idea, because it will forever be like Wendy's creation. So I am just so happy that Tom and Wendy approached me to be part of what's called ClickCon. And certainly Wendy is going to take the reins and kind of run with it. But we've been talking quite a bit since a couple months ago about ClickCon. And we came up with 3 brand new concepts, 3 brand new characters that are going to debut. All of them actually are spawns or spin-offs of books we've created. My character, Mite, has been included in Scorpiana 1 and plays just makes a cameo in Scorpiana 2, and then she'll get her own story in ClickCon. Tom is doing a spin-off of his character Critter, another, dimensional version of Critter, a goth version of her called Catnip. And Wendy, I apologize because I can't remember the name of your character, but it is a character taken from the pages of Naughty Fairies. And so they're all going to get kind of their standalone story. And it's just, Wendy had so many great ideas that she brought to the table. And I think we've even talked about, I hope this is something we talked about, while talking about ClickCon, about a very, very big event that I hope does happen, but it wouldn't be till at least 2021, maybe late 2021, which has potential to maybe turn sort of the indie world on its head. That's about all I can say about it. It is in its very, very infant stages, but if it does happen the way that we talked about, it will be huge. But ClickCon itself, I think, is going to be awesome. I don't know. We have some cool stories, some great art lined up. Once we're able to start promoting that, which will be sooner than later, it's going to be an awesome event. And certainly with Wendy and Tom, kind of heading it up, both of them, Wendy created such an awesome venue for cons, online cons. And Tom has been, he's a veteran of 10 years and he has so many cool ideas. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited for it. And I'm just excited to be part of it.
Very cool. Now, I haven't seen him speak up in here, but it looks like Tom is in the audience, I believe, because
it looks like he joined in.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. So Tom, welcome to the show. Yeah, that was right whenever I put up Steph's comment about Tom does comics. Who knew? Yeah.
In honor of Tom being in the house, I just want to show. I wonder if he is at least as big a Godzilla fan as I am. Probably bigger because he knows more people actually associated with the production. So I'm just totally jealous of the guy. All right, I mean, I just put that out there. But I happen to have the Hallmark. I think it was 2018 Godzilla ornament. I pushed the button to make him roar, but it's kind of obnoxiously loud, so I'll refrain. But I just want to show, since Tom showed up, Godzilla, baby, the big G. If there's any one thing I like as much as aliens, it's Godzilla, baby. So, anyway, just wanted to show some solidarity, brotherly love. So,
I'm surprised that Steph has not asked the question out there if King Kong or Godzilla is better, because he loves stirring that pot.
no, yeah, I mean, you know, you got CB, he's a Kong guy. You got Tom and me, big G dudes, and I mean, it's a natural shit stirrer to throw that bomb right in there and see what happens. Throw it in, you know.
I think isn't it go Kong 1, Gamera 2, and then Godzilla?
I actually think that you left out Yongari at number 3, which was a giant monster. They actually killed by dropping salt on. All right, I want you to think about that. Or some sort of like borax or something. That's an embarrassing. If you're a giant monster, that's an embarrassing way to go. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. All right. Oh my god. Yeah, but anyway.
Now, I would like to say, since I've got actually all 3 of you for ClickCon in here, because I think I've talked to each of you separately, except for UCB, that I would actually like to get all 3 of you on a show. The closer we get, of course, to ClickCon, to go ahead and talk some more about that and get some promotions out there, if you're willing to do that as well.
100%. I mean,
Very
I can't speak for Tom and Wendy, but I don't see why they wouldn't. It's, yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure Wendy's okay with it. Tom is not upset with you, to my knowledge. He's too focused on Steph right now to, you know, let his rage go over there. So
he's probably too busy. He's probably too busy, you know, nitpicking Steph's next cover.
Yeah, Steph wonders why he gets edited so much is because he does comments like he always does on that.
Oh man,
it's all in fun. It's all in fun.
Of course.
Okay, so Tom said
promo starts in July.
Okay, excellent. Then we can definitely do that. That is not a problem at all. I will get with y'all and we'll lock something in on the dates and I'll get y'all on for that. I have got Wendy will be on the show. We'll be talking about hers, I think a few days after she launches, which is going to be pretty cool. Of course, Jim, we're going to be doing the launch party on the 16th for Totally Rad Comics, Totally Rad Life of Violet number 3.
Nice.
You'll be launching on the 17th, you said?
That's the plan.
Fingers crossed. Yep.
Fingers crossed. We still have some things to get together and got to get things set up on Kickstarter and BackerKit. Those are the 2 main sites that will be, you know, the way we deploy the project. And if we can get everything set up, and of course, you want to get your promotional strategy right. So you want to contact the right people, make sure they're getting the word out, that kind of stuff. And then we're working through those issues right now. But if we have to push it to the 24th, we'll do it. But I think the 17th, I'd really like us to try to hit that because with Lily coming out on the 30th for Lewis, it seems like it would be a perfect time frame for us to be suddenly able to promote that, the start of that project, and you know, get that sort of synergy going on. And plus, we have a cross-polar thing. I saw the artwork CV that I think you did for that just tonight, as a matter of fact, and I love that. I just the what you came up with. It's just really amazing. People are going to love it. And so, yeah, absolutely. If we can get it out on the 17th, I think we'll be pretty happy people. So fingers crossed, and we're working on it.
So we have kind of mentioned this is a trilogy that we're doing with Scorpiana, or are we doing further than that, or how are we doing this?
I see this going at least 4 issues, and you know, if CB has a different idea, because I can take it as long as we want to take it. You know, I mean, that's just the bottom line. This is an open-ended kind of thing, and it doesn't have to come to a conclusion, hard conclusion at any stage. But if we see this as something to where, like, we decide, okay, we have 4 issues, and then we're going to start a new arc or focus on a different character, you know, we can do that. But I'm seeing at least 4 issues in my head. And CB, you have a similar idea, or
Yeah, I think, you know, when we first came up with it, we were going to have like a story arc that went 4 issues,
yeah,
to kind of see where things landed and how well Scorpiana takes off. And Mike and I were both just blown away with our first Kickstarter for Scorpiana. We had over 600 backers, which, I mean, and essentially we have sold out of just about every copy of issue number 1, which I still can't believe. You know, I am down to basically a shoebox full of books, and it's not even a full shoebox. So I am grateful for the backers and the reception that I got. So, like Mike said, you know, a story arc may go 4 issues, but if people still like it, and right now I don't see not liking drawing it any time, you know, or wanting to stop drawing it anytime soon. And if Mike is still on board for writing it, you know, we can continue.
absolutely.
So we'll see.
And this Steph Wilson guy over here in the chat has said he could hook us up with the variant covers for 3 and 4.
He knows the guy. Wait a minute. I know who he's talking about. He's talking about Witchman. We want to get Witchman involved.
Yeah, right. Well, I think the guy he's got in mind specializes in circle templates. I think that's his stock and trade there. You know, he's really, really good at those things. I'll tell you what.
I think someone needs to do a book about Steph Wilson going against his arch enemy, the Square.
Oh my God! That would be terrifying. Oh no! I don't think I could handle that. That would be like, you know, the super director's cut of The Exorcist or something. You know, that
would... the Snyder cut.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, I went there. I'm sorry.
Oh, Steph just said, "Don't say Jesse Whitman. You'll summon him."
Yeah. See, Tom's got the story already. It's a square robot.
There you go.
Yeah.
That is a good idea. Yeah, have Steph do his version of Robot Unicorn.
Yeah.
Which is something that you had to throw in a recent challenge. So, you know.
that was thanks to Tom, actually, was the one who suggested that in the list of 6. Yeah.
Yep.
And everyone was making fun of it at first. I mean, I was one of them too. I was kind of like, okay, we're all these other characters and we're doing a robot unicorn. What?
Yeah.
And that was actually the one that actually had to have the most attention and detail and everything to actually make it look like a robot unicorn, which was very interesting.
And I probably got more comments about that particular character than I did any of the other ones on there, which was funny. So.
Yeah, it provided an interesting contrast because you had all these other sexy babes, and then you've got a robot unicorn in the corner, and you're like, oh, okay. It's sort of like a palate cleanser. You know, if you go to certain restaurants like a Japanese eatery or something like that, they bring out those little those little
pieces of ginger or something.
The ginger pieces that you can eat between the dishes. That's what that was. It was a palate cleanser. It was like a piece of ginger on the picture. So,
it was great. I mean, it was something that took it completely out of your regular wheelhouse, because I remember even while you were drawing it, you were like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I hope this comes out okay. Yeah. And out of all 6, that is the one that stood out of everything else on that page. I mean, everything else was done well, but that robot unicorn is the one that I kept going back to, going, wow, that looks really good. I mean, I didn't think a robot unicorn could actually look somewhat decent, but yeah, it looks really good.
What can you say?
You know,
some ideas are ideas whose time have come, and it was.
Well, sometimes that curveball gets you, and sometimes it just hangs right there, and you send it out of the park.
That's exactly right. The guy thinks the guy thinks it's gonna drop, over the plate, but it just hangs there, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, shit. Next thing you know, it's flying into the parking lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guys, I have had an absolute blast, and it's been an honor having y'all on here and everything. And I could have y'all on pretty much all evening, I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and we'll start shutting this thing down now. So if you'll go ahead and let us know where we can find you and everything, give your Audible shout outs on that. And then if you will shoot that information to me after we're done, and I'll have it linked onto it as well. So we'll start off with you, Mike.
Okay. Well, as far as Scorpiana 2 is concerned, our base website is outpost426.com. And right now it's set up for Scorpiana number 1, but in the very near future, it is going to start being updated so that we will have all of our graphics and our promotional stuff for the second issue, and we will, get that updated in probably the next 2-3 days, I would say. That's going to be the big place to look for our stuff, and that's the big thing that I can think of to promote. And Stevie's got a couple of additional things to talk about, because he's involved, as we know, with dozens of different projects at any given time. And am I leaving anything out, CB? Can you think of?
We have our Scorpiana site. I just sent the link to Phil, which is on Facebook. Outpost 426, obviously Kickstarter, and then my page on Facebook, which I do a lot of my promoting as well, and I try to share that out when I can. And my indie family out there does a great job of helping me share things as well. So you'll see a lot of Scorpiana coming out very, very soon to promote the next issue. So, and doing things like this, Phil, thank you so much for having us on here. And giving us a voice for this book and for all indie creators, for that matter. It's much appreciated.
It is my honor to do this. Trust me. I mean, like I said, I can't draw a straight line for a stick figure to save my life. So this is the way I go ahead and do my artistic tendencies, is this way.
And it is most appreciated. I mean, this is a terrific show, and just have us back any old time. Have him back any old time. Me, you name it. I mean, this has been really fun.
I will definitely take you up on that. That is not an issue at all. Let me go ahead. I'm going to go ahead.
Steph just mentioned a Scorpiana Funko Pop. Wow. Talk about something that you've hit the big time if you've got a Funko Pop of your character out there somewhere. I bet
if you can wait one sec, keep talking.
Look out. We all got this wonderful stuff in our little studios, man caves, whatever you want to call it.
I have started.
Oh my God! Yeah.
My Scorpiana Funko, complete with the fiery hands.
Oh yes! Oh my God!
So it's getting there. It needs to be painted and then connected, but she's getting there.
Oh wow!
So,
that is awesome, man. Yes.
So,
oh, you rock. Oh, what can I say? That is
very cool.
Yeah, baby. If the Funko people won't do it, we'll do
it. You got it.
We taking this bitch over.
Just make sure you misspell Funko so nobody gets in trouble.
Right.
Like Funko or something,
If it turns out bad, it's just Flunko.
All right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give my closing statement on here. I will be back here shortly if y'all wait for me just a moment.
All right.
All right. So we had a great time on here. Had CB Zane and Michael Shoemaker on here. We had a great time talking about some things, getting some information out there, talking about new projects that are happening right now, new projects that will be happening. The Summer of Zane, which is now an official term that we're going to be trademarking off of this show. So that's going to be happening. There's a lot of things going on. Now, I always have closing statement. Tonight's not going to be any different. I don't script ahead of times. I don't write anything down while I'm going along. You saw me writing, but I was actually writing down people that I was going to get a hold of for interviews. So, that's not what I was writing down. My closing statement for tonight is based on one word, which is community. There was a lot of talk of that in tonight's interview, and it kept getting bounced around to the fact of, you know, being attached to family and the indie community and people that we interact with and whatnot. Community is a lot more than just names on a list. It's a lot more than a Facebook Messenger that's full of things. It's a lot more than a Facebook group or a social media group that is just full of members in there that just have numbers. Uh, Community is all about how you deal with someone else and push them forward ahead of you, how you go ahead and help them attain their goals. And then whenever time comes around that you have some goals of your own that you need to work on, maybe they'll return the favor. I am a huge proponent of karma and everything, so I believe that that's a huge deal with that. So if you go ahead and, you know, like gets like, respect gets respect, community gets community. So if you align yourself with community who is going to do nothing but hinder you and trip you up whenever you're trying to get to the top of things, then that's where you're going. But if you go ahead and align yourself with community and make sure the people around know that you're the kind of person who will help them get to where they're going and not trip them up, then that's the community that you want to be a part of. So as far as I'm concerned here, you know, CB, he flat out said that I'm part of the community, and I can't tell you how humbled I am just hearing that, because I am not an artist. I am an aspiring writer. I will get working on that now that I have a regular schedule on this. I will get working on that, and I've got a lot of people that are actually trying to help me with that, which is great. But my point is, when you're a part of the community, you're part of the community. They actually accept you and everybody accepts you. You're supposed to accept everyone else, and everything works a lot better. Positivity is where everything goes. So as long as you keep the positive nature in there in the community, there's nothing can stop you. So keep that in mind. So until next time, which will be on Tuesday, whenever I have Matt Knowles and Steph Cannon on here, we're going to be having a live interview at 10 p.m. on that. Check back with me on that one. You see my schedule. It's up on the Comics and More New Jersey page, pinned at the top. Got a lot of stuff going on this week, and we still have a lot of information and a lot of things building up to our 1,000 follower mark special show, which will be happening next week. It got really thrown off because of this week. We're not, or this past week, should I say. So we're definitely getting into that. I have not forgotten by any means, and I have got a ton of people who have reached out to me and donated a ton of stuff, which is going to be amazing that I can actually give away all this. I kind of feel like Santa Claus, except that I'm not quite as heavy and not as much of a white beard. I mean, I'm getting there, but not quite. So anyway, community, keep it in mind, keep it positive, and above all, keep it indie, y'all. Till next time.